Hey everyone, it's August 21st, and that means that if today's your birthday, you share with Japanese serial killer Tsutomu Miyazaki, known as the Otaku Murderer, who killed 4 young girls in 1989, and that is him right over there. Miyazaki was born prematurely in Tokyo in 1962 and suffered from a birth defect that left him with deformed hands which were fused at the wrist. His deformity led to other children ostracizing him in school, so he retreated into a world filled with anime and manga. Though he hoped to be a teacher, his grades were poor, and he ended up studying to be a photo technician, developing rolls of film. Meanwhile, his obsession with anime, manga, and horror films grew, and some believe that they were influences on what would come next. He was a huge fan of the Guinea Pig series of films, some of which are based on horror manga and are so graphic that the filmmakers had to prove to authorities that no one was harmed while making the films. They are filled with scenes of gore, mutilation, torture, and murder, and urban legends abound about supposed reports to the FBI and other authorities by viewers who thought they were seeing actual snuff videos. Now living at his parents' house, where he shared a room with his sister, he considered suicide multiple times and was deeply affected when his grandfather died in May of 1988. He was clearly disturbed, as evidenced by him eating some of his grandfather's ashes to always keep part of the man with him. Later that year, Miyazaki began acting in ways that could easily have been part of the films he loved so much. His first victim was a 4-year-old girl who he strangled, molested, and photographed, then let the body decompose in the hills near his home before cutting off her hands and feet to keep in his closet while dumping the rest of her bones in a park. 2 months later, he struck again, this time a 7-year-old girl who he convinced to get in his car and left her body near the undiscovered corpse of his first victim. He convinced another 4-year-old to hop in his car and did the same in December of that year, but this time was nearly seen by passers-by. Police found his 3 victims and learned that their families had been receiving strange prank phone calls where the caller remained silent and had been sent postcards in the mail that looked like ransom notes with letters cut from magazines spelling out words like cold and death. Miyazaki even sent photographs of clothing and bones he had kept from his victims to their parents. Police investigated the photos and found that the camera was commonly used by those who print photos themselves, but before they could catch the perpetrator, he struck again. It was 6 months after his last victim, and this time it was a 5-year-old girl who he snatched from a park, videotaping her lifeless body after he molested and killed the girl. He dismembered the corpse, eating parts of it and drinking her blood before dumping the rest in a cemetery, returning a few weeks later to move the remains to his closet at home. In July of 1989, he lured one of a pair of sisters away from the other and began photographing her in various graphic poses. The other sister ran home to get help, and then the father caught Miyazaki in the act. He was held for the authorities and confessed in full to the atrocities he had committed. After being diagnosed with schizophrenia and having multiple personality disorder, he was tried, convicted, and sentenced to death. His father committed suicide in 1994, and Miyazaki spent the rest of his life, much as he did before he was incarcerated, reading manga and watching anime, this time in a prison cell until he was hanged in 2008. If this is your birthday, I hope you have a great day. Leave me a comment so I can wish you a happy birthday. If you know someone whose birthday it is today, send them this video so they can find out all about their birthday twin. And to Tsutomu Miyazaki, I say, happy birthday, you bastard.